Welcome. Thank you, everyone. My name is Jeff Diamond. I lead the SAS Visual Analytics team. And before we get started, I want to tell you about a few annual traditions that I have. One of those is that every summer and winter, I drive from North Carolina to Wisconsin. We do this to visit my wife's family, and my kids ask the question, are we there yet? How much longer? Where are we? These are the age-old questions. Another annual tradition that I'm privileged to have is that every spring I come to SAS Innovate to talk with you about visual analytics. And the age-old question here is what's new in SAS Visual Analytics? So before we answer that question together today, there is a question that I want to ask you, and that's where we'll start. So the first part of the question, just with a show of hands, how many of you are using visual analytics on SAS 9? VA 7.5, okay, a few of you. How many are on VIA 3.5, VA 8.5? Okay, quite a few more. How many have been using VIA 4 for more than 1 year? By a show of hands, okay. And how many of you have moved to VIA 4 just within the last year? Okay, so it's all about even. This year I decided to take a little bit wider view of what's new in visual analytics for VIA 4. So we're gonna have some fun. The format we're gonna follow will be familiar to you. This is a game board, a trivia game board with clues. And we have here 6 categories: report consumers, since Innovate of 2025, performance, the little things, power features, AI, and analytics. So these will be our 6 categories. And what we'll talk through is features that are new in VIA 4 that were unavailable either in VIA 3.5 or in SAS 9. One last feature that I want to call out before I ask you to pick a category and a box is the feature of migration. Something that we're very proud of on the visual analytics team is that we have worked very hard to make it simple for you to move from version to version to version, from version 6 to version 7 in SAS 9 to the version 8 series in VIA 3.5 and on to VIA 4. It should be as simple as exporting your reports from your system and then importing them into VIA 4. And if any of you have any challenges in that area, it's something that we want to hear about and make right. So that's a feature that is not new in VIA 4, but one that I wanted to call out. So with that, we're going to get started. I have 30 boxes. Now you know how long I've been at SAS, one for every year. We have 30 boxes. We will not get through all of them, but we'll take as much time as we have, and then I'll invite you all at the end to join us at the Innovate booth, Visual Analytics, after the Dude Perfect talk, if you want to see any of the topics we did not have time to reveal together today. So here's how it works. I would like for someone to pick the category and the box that they are interested in. Dan will walk up with the mic so that I can hear it. But don't be shy. You will not be responsible for providing that answer in the form of a question. You're free to, but you don't have to.
All right, I'm going to pick on people that were brave enough to sit in the front row.
AI and analytics.
AI and analytics.
Let's do 400.
400.
400, all right, starting big. You know, I don't remember what most of these are, but I do remember this one. So, creating dashboards and gaining insights faster. You started with one of the shiniest ones of the day. What is SAS Via Copilot for Visual Analytics? Now, technically, this wasn't in the category of what's new since last 2025, but we've done a lot in 2025, so I couldn't fit them all in that category. This is a major new feature that we're really excited about. As you might imagine, this one is rich. Some of these boxes I could give an entire 20-minute talk for, so a few of them will go in depth, a few of them will be teasers. So I invite you to see a presentation from my colleague Falco Schultz. He'll do a 20-minute session exclusively on the SAS Via Copilot for Visual Analytics, where you're able to build reports, ask questions about your data, and learn how to use the product. Okay, Dan.
All right, let's see. Who can I pick on for the next category? People are totally avoiding my gaze. You're
Right. About power features 300.
All right, power features for 300. I do such good work, I want to reuse it or share it. I took the liberty of a 3-for-1 here. We've got a lot of new features. What are data views, page templates, and object templates? So data views allow you to share really complex calculations and publish these as the default for consistency. So that entire data pane on the left of Visual Analytics, you can build your hierarchies, your calculations, save them all off, and whenever someone picks the data source, you can make it so that that data view will show up by default. Page templates, we have two kinds. We have out-of-the-box templates that help you craft beautiful reports right out of the box, and then we also support the ability for you to create your own custom page templates that can be shared across the organization. When you build these, you can choose to retain the theme of that report, or you can do it without themes, and it'll take on the theme of the report that you add that page template to. And lastly, object templates. So you have that bar chart and you've tuned it, you've set all of the different values, and you have it just right. You can then save it for yourself or publish it for others and put it right there onto the object pane. When you do this, you have the option to keep the data attached to it and reuse that object with all of the roles assigned, or maybe you just want to use that bar chart and assign new data to it. You have both options.
all right. Some other lucky you're avoiding me, but I'm gonna pick on you anyway. This is your big moment. You picked a category, and how much?
I take AI analysis and 300.
300. Thank you.
For how much?
300.
For 300, okay. AI and analytics for 300. An executive is looking at revenue forecasts. Now they can adjust the underlying price of a product and see how it affects the overall forecast. What is the improved what-if analysis at view time? So what-if analysis has been available in Visual Analytics for some time, but several months ago, we completely revamped the experience. We made it much easier to use, and importantly, we also made it available at view time. So now the executives that are reading those reports can change the scenarios and all the goal-seeking elements for themselves and do forecasting on the fly as a report consumer.
All right, you guys aren't safe in the back of the room either. I'm gonna pick on you, sir. Category.
Category?
Category for how much?
Let's go performance for 100.
Performance for 100. I love it because I don't actually remember what any of these are. So some tables can have hundreds or even thousands of variables. What is wide data? And some of the earlier versions of Visual Analytics, when you brought those really wide tables, sometimes the interface would suffer a little bit. So what you can see here is all those improvements that we've made from the data pane, which has about 1,000 measures listed in it. We're able to scroll that and quickly filter it. When you're replacing data items from the main canvas, again, it's right there and super snappy. And I show you an example where we're adding a new filter based on those measures on the right. They all appear, all 1,000 of them. Type in a couple of characters, and it all appears super snappy. So that is performance for 100.
All right, you're up, sir. See, you thought you were safe back here, but I found you.
I was a little worried we were only going to get through 3 boxes, so y'all are doing great.
Let's do the little things for 500.
Ooh, starting big. No more long, flat files. Crosstabs will export exactly as shown. This is a tricky one, but I guess it is. Is this the little things here? What is export to Excel workbooks? So what you can see here on the main screen, oops. Oh. It jumped forward. What you can see here on the main screen is a copy of the Excel workbook fully formatted. So it used to flatten out all of those hierarchies, and it will still do that if you're trying to work with the data. But if you want it to be in Excel looking like the crosstab, then you can now export it as an Excel workbook. It'll retain the heat maps, it'll retain the cell visualizations, it'll retain all the formatting, and importantly, it'll retain that hierarchical structure of your actual crosstab. So that is the ability to export to an Excel workbook.
All right, I'm working my way back up. You, sir, you have the next choice.
Since Innovate 2025 for 500?
Since Innovate 2025 for
500.
500, okay. That means my team's been busy on this one. More options, more options, more options. What are the expanded graph options from Graph Builder? How many of you have used the Graph Builder application before? Okay, a couple of hands. So many of you may have noticed here you have an example, and there are a lot of options that are associated with the Graph Builder, including several options that have not historically been available in Visual Analytics. And so what we have done is to integrate all of those options from Graph Builder across all the different visualization types, and they're now available directly inside of Visual Analytics. So you can get a little bit of a view there. There are hundreds and hundreds of options that historically you would have to go to Graph Builder to set, and then import the custom graph template into VA, and now they're all available natively in Visual Analytics.
All right. You're not safe. You looked at me before, so now you're on the hook. You get to pick.
Report consumer for 300.
Oh, report consumer for 300. This seems a bit ironic. The product manager for Microsoft 365 has blindly chosen this option, get seamless access to analytical insights using Microsoft 365 applications alongside SAS Via. What is SAS for Microsoft 365? Now, this is another one of those boxes, kind of like the Via Copilot for Visual Analytics, that is just too large for me to go over all in one go. I put a couple of the highlights here. This allows you to bring together the best of both platforms from SAS Via and Microsoft 365. You can put interactive reports directly into Outlook. You can refresh the insights that are embedded in an Excel application with the latest data, and then you can insert and share those insights in PowerPoint. And I've put here a link to a wonderful blog that gives you a much more detailed view of how Visual Analytics is integrated with SAS for Microsoft 365. This is a really popular, but sometimes less known way to utilize Visual Analytics reports.
All right.
All right,
Making my
Dan?
way back up to the front. Sarah, you get to pick.
All right, I'll do little things 100.
Little things 100. Every object has so many of these that it can be hard to find them. What is option search? So Visual Analytics has grown and grown and grown, and you can see here from scrolling how many options have built up. This is one of 70 different visualization types we have in Visual Analytics, and you can see how many options we have here just for the bar chart. But we've now added option search, so you can simply go up at the top, type in an option like back for background. It will consolidate that entire list down just to the items, to a particular item that you're interested in. So this is a great way to access all of the power of the Visual Analytics options, but in a very quick and easy way.
All right, staying in the front row. Gentlemen, you're up. Pick one.
Let's do performance for 400.
Performance for 400. I know I should make my reports smaller, but sometimes my users just need everything in one place. What are improvements for multi-page reports? Now, this one actually has a fun story, and I'll tell that story very briefly. My boss is actually here in the audience. One day, we had a glitch. The software had bugs. Don't worry, we didn't release it, but we use Visual Analytics at SAS, as you might expect, and we were using a version of Visual Analytics and producing a report for our executive team. And one day, that report was much slower than we expected. It was a bug that we had just introduced into the software. We took a look at the bug and we fixed it. No big deal. But something really lucky happened to us. While we were looking to resolve that bug, we found this subtle issue that had been lurking in the software for years and years. And we were able to take a big multi-page report, which of course we discourage, but you hear we do it ourselves. We had a very large report. We were able to reduce the load time of that report from 7 seconds down to 2 seconds for this very large report that we use for ourselves at SAS.
All right, going up the middle here. I know you want to pick a category. I can just feel it.
How about power features for 400?
Power features for 400, all right. Google Calendars, D3 radar charts, and custom tree views, they all have this in common. It's one of my favorite. What is data-driven content? Or, as I like to call it, the Visual Analytics plugin framework. This allows you to integrate in those custom visualizations and do much more. This is another giant, big topic, so I've given you a link to our GitHub repository where you will see dozens of examples of custom visualizations that have been integrated into Visual Analytics. It's open source. We encourage you to contribute your own examples as well. If you go to this link, it will provide you an overview of how to do that, as well as a link out to several really powerful examples. I included 3 of them here: a Google Calendar, a D3 spiral chart, I think it is, and a custom tree view, and you see that animating to the right. So the tree view on the left is a custom visualization, but it is actually driving interactions on a standard Visual Analytics objects to the right. So when you integrate them in, you can actually build it to work seamlessly inside of the report.
All right, you're not safe in the back. Your turn to pick a category and an amount.
Report customer 100.
Report consumer for 100. This option ensures that the report always opens in the same way that the report designer specified when they saved the report. What is disabled report state? So you'll see here in this short video an example of a report consumer that is interacting with the report. The standard behavior is to, if you drill down, is to bring it back up in that drilled down state. You saw that we set the option to disabled report state. We drill down on the bar chart. We filter the list table. We reopen the report. And because that option has been set, the report author is able to enforce that every time that particular report is open, it'll always start the user off in the same default state rather than picking up right where the user left off. And a lot of report authors appreciate this particular feature, particularly for time-based things where they want the report to always start off at today, for example.
All right, this gentleman looks really into it, so I know you're just dying to pick one.
How about since Innovate 2025 for 400?
Since Innovate 2025 for 400. The UI is great. It is, but sometimes I need to make changes in batch mode. What is the Visual Analytics API? This year, we released the Visual Analytics API as generally available. I think it was late 2024 when we released it in experimental mode. This is directly integrated in our developer.sas.com experience. And so I've included here a YouTube video. There is a great video, it's about 20 minutes long, that will walk you through how to use the Visual Analytics API. You can use it to build custom applications, or you can use it to modify your reports in batch mode and run different operations. This YouTube video is a great overview of that. It'll also refer you out to developer.sas.com, where we have extensive documentation on all of our APIs, including the newly released Visual Analytics API.
All right, I'm staying on this side of the room. You are up.
All right. Let's do the little things for 400.
The little things for 400. Visual Analytics helps me multitask. It protects my work, and it helps me collaborate with others. What are modern conveniences like autosave, multiple reports, and share? So in this video, just a few seconds long, you'll see a quick overview. In this case, we have a report. We restored the default value, so I went away to lunch. It did not lose any of my work. So this is a new report that I'm working on. And I had never saved it, but I was able to restore all my changes from unsaved reports. You can see here you're able to quickly and more easily share the reports with other people in your organization. And then you are also able to do things like quickly add favorites. I just picked 3, but the real point that I wanted to get across is as we've moved into VIA 4, we've been baking in a lot more of those modern conveniences that will just help your quality of life when you're using Visual Analytics over the course of a day. Again, so you do not do things like lose your changes. You can share reports with others. These are common techniques that are integrated in.
All right. You're either digging this or you're faking it really well, so you get to pick.
Power features for 500.
All right, power features for 500. Oh, a big one. This is the most flexible and powerful system that's ever been added in VIA 4. What are dynamic parameters? Now, as you might imagine, this is one of those topics that I won't have time to cover in depth. I gave an entire talk on this at a session maybe two years ago with a deep dive. But I've included a link to a communities page that has a really nice overview of how you can integrate dynamic parameters into your reports. But there are 3 things that I'll call out here. 3 examples of what you can do with it. You can have dynamic thresholds for your reference lines, which is brand new in the last couple of months, or you can have dynamic thresholds for other constructs in Visual Analytics, like display rules. Excuse me. Within the initial values, your report may change over time. You can now dynamically inform what those initial values are, so your report will always open up with today, for example. And the third example that I gave is you can build calculations that you've never been able to build before in Visual Analytics, including some percent of total calculations that were not possible before. You're able to layer those aggregated calculations on one another very easily with these expression-based parameters. So this is a link I encourage you to go to read over. Dynamic parameters is, as I said, probably the most powerful new system that we've added in the VIA 4 timeframe.
I think we have time for a couple more. Sir, you are up.
Oh, hang on one second for me.
I will take performance for 500.
Performance for 500. A unified platform that combines transactional and analytical workloads in a secure, high-performance database. Now, this one you may know. This one you heard about on the big stage demo this morning, as a hint. What is Speedy Store? So Visual Analytics is fully integrated with Speedy Store. You can go to this link and read a bit more information about it. But at the end of the day, it really helps you to optimize your costs. You're able to leave all of that data in the single store database, have Visual Analytics access that, push the analytics down into the database, which not only optimizes costs, but it also allows you to do real-time data processing because you aren't lifting that data up into the CAS server. You're able to leave it in single store with the Speedy Store integration. So this is a performance improvement that we're really excited about. All right, Dan.
Yeah, so we are actually a couple of minutes over, and we've got to get ready for the next session. But everyone's going to have access to this entire presentation, all 135 slides of it. So we clearly didn't get to all the features and what's new in Visual Analytics. But Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was a fun way to learn about what's new with VA. So
Yeah.
thank everyone for attending, and have a great evening.
And one second, Dan, one before you leave. I'm not actually going to answer now because we're short on time. It's a teaser. I have it, but I've got one for the future. So please be sure and come by the Visual Analytics booth after the Dude Perfect, and we can talk about what we're looking at for the future. So thank you,
Excellent.
Dan, for
Thank
running
you.
it, and thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.